in the United States, Congress has many, many, many bills in play right now. We're going to talk about them as we go through the session today. You can't spit without hitting a privacy bill in the halls of Congress right now. At an agency level, we have the FTC about to put out a final report on online privacy ostensibly, but it is understood to be a much broader picture of privacy from the FTC. Not only are they doing this kind of almost ad hoc public policy work, rulemaking work, but they're also actively enforcing in this space as well. So we have enforcement actions like the Google Buzz settlement, which the chairman of the FTC has said is a roadmap for future data protection actions by the FTC. I think it doesn't take much to read the subtext there that that's what the FTC actually is looking for whenever they look at enforcement actions and when they look at what compliance means in the marketplace. But that's just the FTC. That's consumer protection. The Department of Commerce just this week, Cam Carey, John Kerry's brother, who is general counsel at the Department of Commerce, talked about the Department of Commerce issuing guidelines that will, again, ostensibly guide industry in terms of practices. Query how that intersects with FTC enforcement and what regulatory authority those have. I was talking to a DC lawyer this week who said that the DOC effort is largely aspirational more than instructional or actually mandatory. Health and Human Services is very active. They've started enforcing under HIPAA and soon HITECH. Audit requirements have just rolled out for the HITECH Act in the healthcare space. There's a brand new kid on the block from an agency perspective, the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, which has not only a multi-hundred-of-million-dollar budget, but also a very strong public policy focus when it comes to consumer protection and data protection in financial services. And that's just the federal government. We could even go deeper. FCC is working on privacy issues. We see it percolate all through Washington. The states are still working on privacy laws without much regard or harmonization with what's happening at a federal level. So at a state level, we still see data breach being sort of the common story at a state level. Insurance industry still gets regulated largely on privacy issues, or in many ways on privacy issues at a state level. Lots of different things are happening at a state level. When we step back globally, Europe is under a review of their data protection directive, which is their primary source of legislation when it comes to data protection. That eventually needs to get pushed out to all 27 member states. So that is in flux. Europe is also introducing new directives, telecom directive, cookie directive, that have privacy intersects with them. And there are major questions in play there. And then we see emerging jurisdictions around the world. India just passed a law that many see as unworkable, unmanageable, unenforceable, and has left a lot of people in industry sort of scratching their heads. And while it may be one thing to write off an Indian privacy law, when you consider that many of our major tech companies, HP, Microsoft, IBM, have tens of thousands and if not hundreds of thousands, in the case of HP, literally 100,000 employees in India doing outsourced work for them, all of a sudden those Indian data protection laws become very, very significant for the US market. South America is emerging. Mexico, Colombia, Uruguay, Argentina all have laws on the books. Brazil is talking about a data security law. There is a lot of stuff happening around the world. And so while we probably focus on what's on our desk every day, like the CPO of Microsoft said a few years ago at one of our meetings, what's not global? Everything is global.